high value-added maritime industry in Hong Kong. Let me introduce to you our guests who are attending to the roundtable meeting today. Mr. Liu Zhenshen, Under-Secretary for Transport and Logistics. Ms. Sandy Chen, Managing Director of Hong Kong Ship Owners Association. Mr. Martin Farragut, Chief Executive Officer of Pacific Basin Shipping Hong Kong Limited. Mr. Gautam S. Shettiram, Chairman of KC Maritime. Mr. Michael Burley, Managing Director of Lantern Shipping Service Limited. Also, we have Mr. Gary Chen, Chairman of DAB. Mr. Ben Chen, Vice Chairman of DAB. Mr. Chen Ho-fung, Legislative Council Member. And also, Mr. Holden Charles, Vice Chairperson of DAB. We are very delighted to invite Mr. Gary Chen, Chairman of DAB, to give us his welcoming speech. So, welcome to Mr. Holden Chow, Vice Chairperson of DAB, who will introduce DAB initiative and work relating to high value-added maritime industry to us. Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, I need to thank Gary for lining up all these meetings, and Ben for initiating this seminar on following up the third plenary session of the 20th CPC Central Committee meeting. So I'm the host today, so I probably will give you a little bit background, to explain a little bit background of both the meeting and why we do this, and the current scenario of the maritime services. And then I will leave it to Mr. Liu, the Under-Secretary, and he has something to share with us. And then we have the keynote speakers. They have prepared a lot of things to share with all of us today. And then we have some Q&A and discussion session, and I'm sure that Gary, Ho-fung, and Ben have prepared some questions to discuss with us too. So I think I'll probably start off. So first of all, I have to introduce a background. So I don't know are there any people that are very familiar with maritime service? Save and accept the people sitting here, okay? So you are very familiar, save and accept you. For the audience who actually heard of maritime services before you joined this meeting, nobody raise your hand. Oh, somebody, yes, that's fine. That means what? That means we have a lot of promotion to be done. Because honestly, I believe that Hong Kong does quite well in maritime services and maritime industry, but sadly, not that many people are well aware of this fact. And this is something that we're gonna discuss today. The history goes back to 2016 when I first took office in LegCo. And this is how I met with Sandy. I need to thank her because when I first took office in 2016 in LegCo, I recall that DAB assigned me a duty. We need to explore some new economy, new pillar to support it or driving our economy. So I was scratching my head, what I'm gonna do, because we do well in finance and property. And right now we keep talking about like new economy, right? But you recall that back in like 8 or 9 years ago, who would talk about new economy? It's not that very common, isn't it? But then DAB has a vision. They assigned me for a duty to explore some new things for Hong Kong, for new pillar to support our economy. Then I was trying to do some research, and finally, I get hold of the information of maritime industry. And I checked from the website, I asked people, and that's how I met with Sandy. And I recall that I approached her, and she immediately agreed to line up a meeting with me. Then she explained all the facts to me and what's going on for maritime industry for Hong Kong. So the fact is quite simple. If we talk about maritime services, usually people would recall, oh yes, that's about like container ship, vessels going on, these sort of things. But maritime services is not only about container ship traveling from here to there. It's not only about the vessels you see. It's not only about container ports. It's more about the things happening behind the scene, the work supporting the work of the container ship and vessels. For example, like ship leasing, ship financing, maritime insurance. Then you have dispute resolution, you have maritime arbitration, all sort of stuff. And Hong Kong, I say Hong Kong does well. The reason being, if you check online, Hong Kong ranked number 4 globally in terms of the number of ships being registered in the Hong Kong Shipping Registry. So we do well. And then you probably ask, why are we so popular among these shipping companies? It's because we are providing very timely and effective service to the shipping companies. Imagine if you have a ship, or if you have a container ship, a vessel being caught somewhere in Argentina, let's say. So the quicker you got released from Argentina, the better you are. And it depends on what sort of service you provide for your shipping registry, right? You need to deal with the Argentina government to make sure that your vessels could be released. So this is something that we do. And the reason why we do well, because we provide timely and effective service. And you might as well ask, who is the champion in this regard? Who is number 1? I know these guys definitely have the answer, but don't say that first. And I check out from my audience and see anybody could actually get hold of that piece of important information. Do you know who is the champion in this regard? No? That's a very common answer I got. You're making a very common answer because everybody will figure out that way. I don't think anybody would know if you are not within the industry. The answer is Marshall Islands. It's a very small island called Marshall Islands. You might have heard of Cayman Islands, BVI, Virgin Islands, right? Marshall Islands. But why are they so successful for being the champion? Because they are offering round-the-clock services, 24 hours. So it's timely, effective, and 24-hour services. So I think I'll leave it to our guests they definitely will touch on this sort of topic. But I will just give you a background in a nutshell. Hong Kong does well in maritime services. And because we do well, we have these very honorable guests today. These are big boss from global shipping companies. And they decided to stay here in Hong Kong for many, many years for some reason. But I think we all have a very common interest here that we want to work on something. We want to join hands with each other so that we can, work better and enhance our shipping hub status. And that is in line with, the mission assigned by Gary Chen and also Ben to me, because, we hold this seminar, we discuss these topics, and we can actually bring out some good ideas. Hopefully everybody will benefit. And I don't want to talk too much because I keep talking, then I will bother all of you. I'm sorry. So I probably leave to Mr. Liu. He has something to share with us too. Thank you, Under Secretary. Thank you.
Thank you, Holden. Distinguished guest speakers, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is my pleasure to address today's roundtable forum on developing high value-added maritime industry in Hong Kong, hosted by the DAB. First of all, I would like to thank DAB for organizing this forum for government and industry professionals to exchange views on this very important topic. Promoting the development of high value-added maritime services is high on the government's agenda to consolidate Hong Kong as an international maritime center. We currently have a vibrant maritime ecosystem of over 1,100 ports and maritime companies in Hong Kong, offering a broad spectrum of quality services to local and international companies, ranging from ship management, ship finance, marine insurance, marine law and arbitration, etc. The government is constantly keeping a close eye on how the sector is doing and looking for what should be done more to keep Hong Kong ahead. The strategic importance of the high value-added maritime industry can be readily understood in the following ways. First, the industry is a great asset to Hong Kong as shown by the facts. One, the vibrance of our maritime services is one of the factors that have contributed to Hong Kong's ranking as the 4th leading international maritime centers for the 6th years in the Xinhua Baltic International Shipping Center Development Index 2024, which measures the strengths of international maritime centers holistically, including port conditions, professional maritime services, and overall business environment. Two, the high value-added maritime services have grown by nearly 40% in 3 years from 2019 to 2022. Therefore, it's a source of growth in terms of economic contributions. Second, the industry is best placed to make good use of Hong Kong's unique strengths under the one country, two systems. Our status as the only bilingual common law system in China, our renowned position as the world's fierce economy, and our strong financial and trade sectors. With the unwavering efforts of the industry, Hong Kong's maritime service has scored high on a number of aspects. On maritime law, the Baltic and International Maritime Council, BIMCO, approved to name Hong Kong as the 4th arbitration center in the standard dispute resolution course of its maritime contract, alongside London, New York, and Singapore. On maritime insurance, 11 out of the 12 members of the international group of P&I clubs have presence in Hong Kong. In 2016, in Hong Kong, largest cluster of representatives outside London. And the International Union of Marine Insurance set up its Asian hub in Hong Kong in 2016, which is the organization's first permanent presence outside Europe. On ship management, we have the greatest number of the top 10 ship management companies in the world headquartered in Hong Kong, currently 3 in total. On ship finance, 8 of the world's top 10 book runners on syndicated marine finance loans have set up offices in Hong Kong. The above billion track record is a great driving force for the government and the industry to work hand in hand to continue upgrading our competitiveness and scale new heights. I will give a latest update on the work of government on this front. As announced in the 2024 policy address, we will reconstitute the existing Hong Kong Maritime and Port Board into the Hong Kong Maritime and Port Development Board, which will be a high-level advisory body to be chaired by a non-official to assist the government in formulating policies and long-term development strategies. Additional resources will be provided to enhance its research capabilities, strengthen promotional work, and step up talent nurturing effort for the maritime sector, including the high value-added maritime services industry. To boost the development of our maritime service ecosystem, the government has been providing tax concessions for various segments of the sectors, including tax tax exemption for the ship listing business from 2020, meaning that no profit tax is charged. Half-rate tax concession for marine insurance from 2021, meaning that profit tax is charged at 8 to 8.25%. Half-rate tax concession for shipping commercial principles, including ship management, ship agency, and ship brokering from 2022, meaning that profit tax is charged at 8.25%. We are gradually seeing the impact of these measures. For instance, the number of ship listing companies in Hong Kong has grown from 11 in 2021 to 46 in 2023. We will continue stepping up the promotion of tax concession measures via active outreach to potential companies, including making good use of the Invest Hong Kong's overseas network. We will also encourage high-potential marine insurance business operators to establish presence in our city to broaden the range of marine insurance products. Further, commodities, including metals and minerals, account for more than half of the global shipping trade volume. Commodity traders, being the cargo owners, are the key user of maritime services, and their presence and operation in Hong Kong can drive the demand for maritime services industry and encourage more maritime services enterprise to establish in Hong Kong. In this connection, we are conducting a study to explore the introduction of tax concession to attract commodity trading enterprise in the mainland and overseas to set up business in Hong Kong to build up a commodity trading ecosystem, and in turn, strengthen the maritime services cluster in our city. The study will be completed within this year. To promote Hong Kong as a green maritime center, we promulgated the action plan on green maritime fuel bunkering in November last year, which set out 5 green-centric strategies and 10 actions covering a wide range of areas, such as supply of green maritime fuels, infrastructure support, port emissions reductions, incentive measures, collaboration with the mainland and overseas. We hope that the clear policy direction stated therein will promote the development of Hong Kong into a high-quality green maritime fuel bunkering center and provide enormous business opportunities to the maritime sector, including the maritime services industry. Maritime talent is an indispensable cornerstone supporting the development of our maritime services sector. The government has been providing training scholarship, rewards, and scholarships under the Maritime and Aviation Training Fund with a view to nurturing professionals for the industry. It currently supports 13 maritime-related schemes which have benefited more than 10,000 students and in-service practitioners of the maritime industry. We will review and expand the scope of the Maritime and Aviation Training Fund to cover more green energy courses, marine insurance examinations, and others. We will also strengthen collaboration with international marine insurance organizations to promote the training of marine insurance talents. For instance, the Hong Kong Maritime and Port Board has signed a memorandum of understanding with the International P&I Club on the first day of Maritime Week 2024 to strengthen collaborations on this front. To conclude, the government is committed to work in close collaboration with the maritime industry to further the development of the maritime services sectors and charter a bright new chapter for the industry. I look forward to listen to the insightful views of the participants today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Undersecretary. Then I will leave it to Sandy. She has a lot of expertise to share with us. Thank you, Sandy.
Yes, that's fine, yes. Secretary Liu, honorable legislators, friends and guests, it's always my pleasure to be back in the LegCo building. Lots of memories here, including some very exciting ones. Yes, and Holden, I would like to let you know that now you are also an expert. Indeed, shipping is the most exciting or complex industry that I've ever come across. Its ecosystem is not easy to understand. It's a truly global industry. As ships go across the oceans 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, you can imagine that I might receive emergency calls anywhere, anytime. So, for the same reason, shipping is often impacted by geopolitics and is subject to all sorts of monitoring and regulations by different authorities in different jurisdictions. Therefore, one must be very alert in shipping, and one must be well aware of what is happening everywhere in the world. At the same time, shipping is a very capital-intensive investment. Ships are expensive, really expensive. Ship operations, management, and maintenance are costly too. So I'm saying all of this because I would like to let you know how difficult, yet how significant the shipping industry is. Over 80%, some say even nearly 90%, over 80% of the world trade is carried by ships. Today, we also have many friends from the media. If I may say so, the industry can usually draw media attention easily when something goes wrong, rather than when everything is going well. And that's why I'm here. But of course, that's understandable. So please don't take things for granted. During the pandemic, when many ports and cities were locked down, shipping continued to supply essential goods to everyone around the world. It was the shipping industry that maintained the smooth operation of the global supply chains at that most difficult time. So the industry deserves our respect and our support. Hence, Holden, thank you again for inviting me today. I still remember the first day when I saw you. Seems no change. Yeah. Yes, and thank you for the DAB attaching importance to the industry. Thank you so much, Chairman. Yes, for obvious reasons, the situation faced by the Hong Kong shipping community is even more difficult now, given the local business environment, the trade war, and recent geopolitical developments. With these challenges ahead of us, I would like to share some thoughts on the way forward for the industry. I would call this the 3Ps approach. 3Ps. It's most important for the industry to get the 3Ps. The policymakers, the people, and the partners. So first, policymakers, including, of course, our honorable legislators. For any industry, I'm being very frank, okay, it's always encouraging to see public policies that are conducive to industry growth, and disappointing to see policies, rules, and regulations that restrict industry growth. Hence, it's crucial to get the policies right and timely, especially as the world will likely keep changing at a much faster pace than we can imagine. All along, the Hong Kong Ship Owners Association has advocated for an enhancement of our ship registry and the formulation of a comprehensive visionary plan for the industry. A big thank you to the Hong Kong Marine Department and our legislators. With your support on many occasions, we make it. In the past couple of years, we saw many measures to improve the operation of the Hong Kong Ship Registry. This included, for example, the setting up of overseas desk offices to provide more efficient services for clients. This is important. The legislative amendments to make the laws and regulations more up to date. This is equally important, Chairman. And the provision of financial incentives for ships to go green. All these efforts were well received by the industry, although we would, of course, like to see more to come, Secretary. Yeah, thank you. So also thanks to the Transport and Logistics Bureau, the industry was pleased to see, as you mentioned, Secretary, the launch of the government's action plan, setting the scene for sustainable industry growth. And further, last October, the Chief Executive included in his policy address many innovation and reform initiatives in the 5 areas suggested by the association. First, green shipping. Second, commodity trading. Third, maritime services. 4, global partnership. 5th, institutional framework. This was definitely a step in the right direction. The many initiatives will benefit not only the industry, but also the overall local economy. Now, the next step. I would like to urge, if I may again, Secretary, I would like to urge our government, with the blessing of our legislators, Holden and Chairman, to provide sufficient fiscal support and financial incentives in the new budget for the timely implementation of those new initiatives. That's the key to maintaining our competitive edge and capitalizing on the emerging opportunities in this rapidly changing world. The second P. The second P is about getting the right people. Hong Kong people are often regarded as adaptive, adventurous, civilized, dynamic, industrious, resilient, and versatile. Oh, it seems that I'm talking about myself. However, for some reasons, there is a severe manpower shortage and succession problems in many sectors, including shipping. While ship owners can fill the vacancies by recruiting overseas through the government special schemes, it's always desirable to have a local pool of maritime talent with good local knowledge to handle specialized roles on both ships and shore. Otherwise, it would be difficult for Hong Kong to attract more ship operators and service providers and to expand its maritime cluster. According to industry people I've talked with today in particular, we need talent in, say, ship management, maritime law, and digital transformation. Probably one major reason for the talent shortage is the lack of interest from not only the young people, but also their parents. Many parents, students, and even teachers do not know the industry good enough and do not see its many possible career paths. So more community education is needed. Finally, the third P, our partners. The local shipping community needs partners, also at national, regional, and international levels. For many years, the Hong Kong Ship Owners Association has spared no efforts in building these partnerships to tell the Hong Kong story. At the national level, we work closely with our partners in Shanghai, GBA, etc., to explore possible areas of cooperation in shipping. We initiated the first annual Greater Bay Maritime Forum a few years ago to provide a platform for views exchange on issues of common interest and common concerns. This year, by rotation, the forum will be back to Hong Kong again. At the regional level, another example, in May last year, we hosted the AGM and the Green Shipping Forum for the Asian Ship Owners Association, with many key shipping personalities from different parts of Asia joining our 3-day events for business exchange and networking. Of course, they also had the chance to personally experience the Hong Kong stories here. Seeing is always believing. At the international level, last November, with both our Bureau support and our association support, the International Chamber of Shipping hosted its Global Maritime Trade Summit in Hong Kong during the Maritime Week. This joint event was attended by about 300 high-level delegates from 28 countries from Europe, North America, and the Asia Pacific, including senior officials from governments and global authorities, such as the International Maritime Organization, the World Trade Organization, and the European Commission. While the main theme of that summit was on a level playing field and a global rules-based regulatory environment, the choice of Hong Kong, that is Hong Kong, the choice of venue, i.e. Hong Kong, was most appropriate because Hong Kong itself has been a very good example. Again, seeing is believing. Whenever these prominent personalities are in Hong Kong, they can tell Hong Kong is still a free economy, and Hong Kong remains a strong advocate for free trade, which is something that we all treasure in the global community. So, all in all, for maritime development, first, we must get the policymakers from our government and legislature. Second, we must get the people from the community at large. And third, we must get the partners from all fronts. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandy. Just a point supplement. I'm very happy to see the Maritime Week happening every single year. It was very successful, and I'm glad to hear that the Global Summit was also held in Hong Kong. And I think we do need these sort of mega events. The next person, the next keynote speaker will be Martin, and I'll leave it to you, Martin. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, dear Secretary Liu, honorable legislators and ladies and gentlemen, it's of course an honor to be invited to the Legislative Council building to share my views with the DAB. First, I must share a personal disclaimer. So I have lived in Hong Kong for nearly 4 years. So I'm still relatively new to the city, and I still have a lot to learn. That was my disclaimer. On the other hand, I'm able to compare Hong Kong with other shipping centers I have worked in during my now 36 years career in shipping, and I therefore hope I can add some insights to the topic with my international background and experience. You can turn to slide 2. Great. Today I proudly represent Pacific Basin, which is one of the world's largest owner and operator of modern handysize and Supramax dry bulk ships. Pacific Basin was established in Hong Kong in 1987, and we have our head office here with more than 250 staff. We own and operate around 300 vessels, of which about 110 vessels are owned and flying the Hong Kong flag. And we are the largest employer of Hong Kong officers, cadets. If you go to slide 3, please. We are listed on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange since 2004, and we are today the largest independent shipping company listed on the exchange. So we have been committed to Hong Kong for more than 38 years, and we're very proud to be a Hong Kong company. Next slide. Yeah, next slide. Thank you. Today I would like to address strategies to enhance Hong Kong's maritime industry, especially its value-added maritime services such as ship financing, ship brokerage, ship leasing, maritime arbitration, and maritime insurance. to achieve this, the primary objective should be to support and nurture the core maritime companies that are already established in Hong Kong. These companies are the demand drivers for the maritime services that we want to attract to Hong Kong. It is important to distinguish between ship-owning operating companies and other maritime services. Ship-owning and operating companies are those that own or control vessels, and they service the cargo customers by ocean transport on the vessels they own and operate. These companies have large organizations to manage their fleets commercially, operationally, and technically, and often require ship crews, and the vessel often fly the flag of the country they are based in, and in our case, that is Hong Kong. Conversely, maritime services encompass all the necessary services required by vessels owners and operators, such as the financing, banking, ship brokering, fuel suppliers, legal and arbitration services, insurances, and so on. Without ship-owning or operating companies in Hong Kong, there would be no incentive for maritime services to establish themselves here. Can you go to slide 5, please? Our fundamental point is this: if Hong Kong shipping companies grow, prosper, and stay, then new ones will come and maritime services will follow. Some companies have chosen to relocate to other maritime centers, and it is unlikely they will return. Therefore, it is imperative to ensure that those still in Hong Kong remain here and thrive. To keep them here, they need to see a positive outlook for Hong Kong and see value in being here and be convinced they can manage the risks associated with Hong Kong. If they prosper and grow, they will help brand Hong Kong as an attractive location for other shipping companies. And again, maritime service companies will quickly follow. And you can go to page 6, please. Actually, maritime services are already well represented in Hong Kong, and they will likely stay as long as their ship owner-operator clients remain and thrive here. So does Hong Kong make itself attractive as a place to have a head office and use the Hong Kong flag? So over the year, much have already been done by Hong Kong and its maritime industry to create the shipping cluster that we still enjoy today. But it's an increasingly competitive world, and what has previously been a unique competitive edge for Hong Kong has been copied and maybe even improved by others, resulting in a migration of companies to other jurisdictions. Hong Kong needs to leverage and future-proof its competitive advantages. The Hong Kong maritime industry continues to discuss this, and we have also through Hong Kong Shipowners Association suggested facilitating access to green marine fuels in and around Hong Kong, supporting the industry decarbonization efforts, supporting industry training and innovation through local universities, attracting commodity companies who are our ultimate cargo customers, ensuring that Hong Kong constantly expand the number of double taxation agreements, and finally, always trying to find ways to fix some negative perceptions that have emerged overseas about Hong Kong. These measures can help to lay the foundation for maritime business growth in Hong Kong. So our priority must be to ensure the ship owners and operators who stay in Hong Kong benefit from their loyalty to Hong Kong. We need to see organic growth of the existing Hong Kong maritime cluster before we can realistically expect to attract foreign owners and operators and grow maritime services. The ship owners are the commercial principal, the clients of various maritime service providers, such as the law firms and shipbrokers. These service providers usually follow the principals wherever they are. Also, if we can attract more end customers to Hong Kong, such as cargo traders, commodity consumers, and mining companies, it will also attract additional ship owners and operators and maritime service providers. The key is for the Hong Kong government to expedite action and implement the many new initiatives covered in the Chief Executive's 2024 policy address and the Transport and Logistics Bureau's action plan as soon as possible. The plans are actually sound. The message is actually very correct, but we need the execution of the plans before it's too late. Hong Kong cannot afford further delays, as Singapore, Dubai, and the rest of the world definitely will not wait. We'll go to slide 7, please. Hong Kong has several competitive advantages, such as being an attractive place to live and work, having a very good education system, and having a proactive and efficient local government. And we enjoy a good working relationship with Hong Kong Marine Department, TLB, Hong Kong SOA, and so on, who all are actually very professional, work very hard to support our companies and promote Hong Kong. Hong Kong also has something that Singapore and others can't copy, and that is actually China. China is the largest consumers of the world's commodities and also leading the way in a much-needed green fuels for the future. They are also the leading builder of new commercial vessels and so much more. No doubt there are also challenges, and in particular we should not underestimate the handicap Hong Kong faces due to the negative perception that have emerged overseas about Hong Kong in the wake of political and legal changes and geopolitical tensions. Fixing this and fully restoring Hong Kong's brand is probably not very easy. It is important for the Hong Kong government to be realistic about the pros and cons and take the action to mitigate the risk. But let's embrace and try to leverage Hong Kong's advantages to the benefit of our maritime cluster. In particular, let's leverage our most unique competitive advantage, including our place in China and our one country, two system framework. Therefore, I urge all stakeholders, including government officials, industry leaders, and maritime professionals, and the DAB members to come together and take decisive action. Let us work collaboratively to implement these initiatives, support our maritime companies, and ensure that Hong Kong remains a leading maritime hub. The time to act is, of course, now, and together we can secure a prosperous future for Hong Kong's maritime industry. Finally, I'd like to thank all, and especially Holden Chow and Gary Chan, for letting me share the views of Pacific Basin. On a personal note, my family and I really enjoy living and working in Hong Kong. It's truly a fantastic city to live and work in. And I hope that we, together with Hong Kong government, can compellingly convey and prove the benefits of Hong Kong to attract business overseas to relocate to Hong Kong. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Mr. Liu has something to work on, so he has to leave now. I think we give him a round of applause, please. Thank you. And then all of us will stay on. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So before I leave it to Gautam, I just have a quick note. I'm very happy to hear from Martin that you love living here, and thank you for being here. I mean, on behalf of our DAB party, our fellow legislators, I have to say thank you for being here, and you enjoy your life in Hong Kong, and we need your presence. We always cherish your presence and also your company's presence, and in particular, I like your point that we should actually look after the existing companies who are here. We look after them, make sure that they thrive. And if they thrive, then other maritime companies will follow suit by relocating back to Hong Kong. But if the existing companies don't do well, then that's not a very good case to explain, right? So I like your point. That's very important. And I think I will just will carry on with our discussion later on that. And I'll now leave it to Gautam. Thank you for your sharing, please.
Honorable legislators, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, this is my first time to speak in front of all of you, and what an honor it is to be here. I'd like to give a special thanks to the DAB for inviting me, in particular Holden Chan, thank you, and Gary Chan. I feel strongly for Hong Kong. I'd like to share my views from a business perspective. It's a competitive landscape to be the #1 shipping hub in Asia, and I would like to see Hong Kong take that position. I have about 10 minutes to give my speech, and I'd like to put it into context. I'd like to split my talk into 3 parts. First, I'd like to give a short background on my family business and its ties to Hong Kong. Secondly, I will be sharing my experience over the last 2 decades. I've had the benefit of being in the shipping community in Hong Kong and Singapore. I want to bring you perspective and what we can do to win back market share of the shipping cluster. The last part of my speech will be sharing my observations, learnings, and take-home value. Even though my loyalties are to Hong Kong, I'm not here to be critical of Singapore or any other shipping hub. Purely from a business perspective, I want to talk on strategies and give recommendations on how we can be more competitive. So the first part, background on myself and family business. My family business was founded in 1916 by my great-grandfather, Kishan Chinchalaram. He expanded our trading business throughout West Africa, in particular Nigeria and Ghana, and then throughout Southeast Asia. We opened our first trading business in Hong Kong in 1943 under the name Kishan Chinchalaram Hong Kong. In 1972, we bought our first office located in Wyndham Street in Central, where we are still located today. In 1980, we ventured into dry bulk ship owning, and within a few years, we relocated the business from London to Hong Kong. Today, I'm pleased to share the Chalaram family own and operate about 35 vessels. Our headquarters is Hong Kong, and we manage a portfolio of businesses ranging from shipping, real estate, and a family office. In early 2000s, we started to build ships in China. At present, 70% of our fleet is constructed at top Chinese shipyards. Moving on to part 2, my experience over the last 2 decades. Now that I've set context, I want to focus on changes in the Hong Kong shipping fabric over the last 25 years. It's important this is understood because Hong Kong was the shipping hub of Asia in the 2000s. It was the backbone of ship owners and ship operators. These are critical stakeholders because it brought in all the associate businesses to Hong Kong, such as ship brokers, insurance brokers, ship managers, and some commodity houses, referred to as charterers. Of my working career, I spent between 2000 to 2012 working in our family shipping business, KC Maritime, and this was the golden era of shipping, and it was all done out of Hong Kong. It was during the late 2000s, Singapore made an aggressive and strategic move to rival Hong Kong. Credit to them, the government body MPA, Maritime and Port Authority, financially incentivized the entire maritime cluster, primarily cargo controllers and ship brokers, to make the shift. In preparation for today, I want to give 2 examples of where I've seen shifts, and the purpose is really to see what has happened and over this time frame to see what Hong Kong needs to do to win back some of its business. I spoke with one of the large leading shipbroking firms, and they talked about their move, and it was driven by access of commodity. And they said there was a synergy by moving because there was better flow of information. Today, their office has grown to about 200 members, being from Hong Kong for roughly about 50. The other shipbroking firm said that they were offered very attractive tax incentives, and that's why they decided to move. Today, they've gone from 18 in Hong Kong to about 60. These are examples where Hong Kong was their initial base in Asia, but as business expanded, they decided to relocate. In 2019, we did the same evaluation, and we did not see the benefit, and we decided to stay in Hong Kong. In 2020, I relocated to Hong Kong and took over as chairman and CEO of KC Maritime. Despite the challenges at that time, it feels good to come home. This takes me on to my third part, and I'm very happy what Mr. Liu said in his speech because I can see there's a lot of alignment. Having lived and experienced another shipping hub, I have perspective. I believe in healthy competition, but I would like us to win business back. I would recommend we form partnerships as an approach, And it's not necessarily about offering financial incentives to bring shipping stakeholders back. It's about knowing what incentives would make stakeholders relocate. My focus is more on the international community because shipping is truly a global business. All it would take would be for us to have maybe 1 or 2 large commodity houses to relocate back to Hong Kong, and this would be viewed as more of a diverse pool of talent. I'm pleased to share KC Maritime, Pacific Basin, and the Hong Kong Maritime Port Authority are all platinum sponsors for the Captain Stable event held during Maritime Week. This event focuses on bringing together startups, industry leaders, regulators to accelerate solutions to our industry's most pressing challenges. It's an event like this that helps enhance the shipping image of Hong Kong, and I encourage us to continue to support this event, and like others. I serve on the ExCom of the Hong Kong Ship Owners Association, and I would recommend we put together a plan and a strategy of anchoring key stakeholders in Hong Kong. We need to form the right strategy and set KPIs. As a family business member with deep ties in Hong Kong, I hope we can be of support to all of you and make Hong Kong the #1 shipping hub in Asia. Would lastly like to express my gratitude to the Honourable Legislators, Transport and Logistics Bureau, and Sandy Chan, Managing Director of the Hong Kong Ship Owners Association, for her undivided commitment to Hong Kong and the shipping community. Thank you.
Thank you. Of course, we need to do more to at least attract the companies to relocate back to Hong Kong. And this is something that you share with us. You know, you talk about incentive. It's not only about, fiscal incentive is something that we need. But apart from fiscal incentive, we also need to know what the companies actually need, apart from, you know, monetary incentive. Maybe commodity house, as you say, is something that, you know, we need to work on. So thank you. That's very grateful for, you know, hearing your thoughts. So I think I will leave it to Michael. Michael, please share with us your thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. Mr. Chairman, Vice Chairman, honourable ladies and gentlemen of DAB guests. It's an honour to be speaking here. It's the first time I've done this as well, and I seize the opportunity. Thank you. I love Hong Kong. I came out to Hong Kong from London in 1984 to take up a job working as a shipbroker with a company called Rodskog Shipbrokers. And subsequently, I went on to work for the company that eventually became Clarkson's Asia. I settled on Hong Kong after traveling around the world to visit every place I could think of that I might possibly want to work, having spent 8 years as a shipbroker on the Baltic Exchange in the City of London. The main reason I came to Hong Kong was that it dawned on me that as I was traveling, that China was going to be becoming the next important place when it came to developing world shipping markets. After getting here, I would have to say it took me about 18 months to settle in Hong Kong, and I thought I would only be here for 2 years. But that was now 38 years ago. And I can say it wasn't easy. So I arrived in 1984, and by 1987, 6 of the top 7 shipping companies in Hong Kong had either gone bust or were insolvent. When I arrived in Hong Kong in 1984, the joint declaration had just been announced, Jardines had moved their headquarters, and the Hang Seng Index was about 456. I mention these things because Hong Kong has been, and I think will continue to be, a place of volatility, but most of all, adaptability and resilience. The maritime market, by its very nature, is an international business, with the written contracts and communications largely in English. And the attraction of Hong Kong as a base for operation has been the ease with which one can set up and establish a new business, the access to well-educated English-speaking, hard-working local staff, and of course the beneficial regulatory and tax situation. And supporting these businesses has been the registry itself, the ship management, financial, legal, and insurance backup, as well as shipbroking, that are essential to shipping businesses. And I should mention also our stock market and capital markets that support our larger shipping entities. However, over the last 10 or 15 years, other centres have grown in their significance to challenge what we have here, and I'm thinking about Singapore and now Dubai. But the one thing that these two places don't have is China, just across our northern border. And in recent years, we've seen a marked increase in the participation of, obviously, Chinese business, shipping business is huge, but the Chinese banks and their leasing companies financing international shipping companies. These leasing companies need assistance and support with legal and insurance capability, and in some cases ship management. And it is in these areas that Hong Kong excels, and I believe will continue to excel. Now, when I talk about shipping, it's not only the container ships that you see coming in and out of Kwai Chung. The ships you don't see are the tankers, the bulk carriers, the gas carriers, and the car carriers that operate far away over the horizon. Certainly in the case of bulk carriers and tankers, the fleet is getting older. Well, the whole fleet is getting older. But we're going to need a lot of replacing. And the place that most of these ships are going to be built is now mainland China. So we have an opportunity, together with leasing companies, financing companies, providing the finance for those new buildings, and the ancillary support services that will go with that. Here in Hong Kong, we are encouraging and facilitating currently a big increase in our tertiary education facilities. But I think we need to pay attention to our primary and secondary education as well, insofar that it support English language education for the diversity of our local as well as international ethnicity populations. But to support these activities, we must continue to have well-qualified English, local and international concern. My concern is that the teaching of English language in local schools is not being given enough priority at the moment. The other concern is that for international staff already here or coming to Hong Kong, it is increasingly difficult to find school places for those people who have children, especially in secondary schools. The concern is also that our school system no longer has something in between the local language Chinese schools and the international schools. We used to have the ESF that provided an affordable, locally based education, but that's not the case now. That's become part of the the international community, the international schools. I recently read a book that drew my attention to the diversity of nationalities that have made Hong Kong what it is. It wasn't just the British and Chinese. It was traders from India, from the Middle East, from Russia, as well as China and Britain who came to Hong Kong. They came because they found that they could trade freely without their local government's imposition. And free enterprise helped Hong Kong to grow into what it is today. But it was the very diversity of those people. They intermarried and they became part of the fabric of Hong Kong and continue to be part of the fabric of Hong Kong that makes Hong Kong the place it is today. I think we overlook that. So what I'm trying to get across, I believe we need to be bold. I believe we need to look back to our roots. We need to be entrepreneurial. We need government support in terms of providing infrastructure, schooling, affordable housing to support the needs not only of our local staff, but to attract international businesses and keep international businesses here, whether they be Chinese or American or European or Middle Eastern. And we need to be able to cater for every level of employee, the lower paid, the middle management, as well as the senior executives, with appropriately priced and available education and accommodation. I believe that these things are essential to support and build on Hong Kong's position in higher value shipping activities. not only with China, but within Asia and the rest of the world. And then we need to be able to communicate these things to our target audience, both north of our border and to the rest of the world. On an encouraging note, I hear anecdotally that some people who've left Hong Kong over the last 5 years are potentially looking to come back, having found that the places they've gone to just don't have what Hong Kong has. Now, there's a surprise. And that's for real. This is not a one-way street. We are going to be bouncing back. And with the help and assistance from the DAB, LegCo, and our government, I believe we have a very bright future. Thank you.
I think having lived here for decades, you are definitely in a position to give this sort of comment and looking after how to look after our foreign expatriates in Hong Kong. And in particular, I mean, when we're talking about how to attracting people, relocate back to Hong Kong, how to attract our foreign business, foreign companies, don't forget, you need to look after their staff first. You'll make sure that they're all in they're all in good hands. I will say, I'll use this phrase. You make sure that your staff are in good hands. If their schooling are not being looked after, that might actually deter people from coming. I think you all agree with me. So I think you rightly point out the problem on the schooling. And on another note, I just share with you that even me and my team, my colleagues are also working on something that are urging or calling for more support to the schooling from foreign expatriates, especially on international schools, how we offer more flexible policy for international school to operate in Hong Kong to cater to the demand for foreign expatriates. But this is another topic that we can actually explore in the future, but I think I thank you for sharing with us all these very important thoughts. So I think our guest speakers have already shared their thoughts. I think it's now the discussion, and I think I'll open the floor to everybody, including the press. But before I open the floor to the audience and the press, may I actually ask a couple of questions because you draw my attention to much of your very important content you just shared. So the first questions I'm going to ask is to see if anybody is interested. Speaking on mega events, I'm sure that we all know that right now, every single year, we have the Maritime Week, and it's doing better. And this year, we have the Global Summit, as Sandy pointed out. But can you also name that apart from these sort of events, any other global shipping conference or international organization that you believe that we should proactively join? Let's say we haven't joined yet, but we should do that in order to, foster our global partnership. Because Sandy, I noticed that you talk about partners. That's important because, we talk about partners, then you probably need to join more in this sort of global institution or take part in this global conference. Can you name a couple of them for us? Yeah.
Thank you, Holden. Yes. Actually, there are basically quite many regional and global events every month around the world. Yes. So, for example, quite a big one, actually a very big one, the London International Shipping Week is going to take place in September this year in London. So we are going to take part. And of course, I would like to also encourage the Hong Kong shipping community to take part. And perhaps Martin and Gautam also have some ideas on the other events that you have in mind.
You need to switch on. Just a button. Yeah, there's a button.
Okay. Well, see, what some of the media events that are organized is Marine Week, the finance. What's it called? Marine money. Now,
Marine money.
yeah. Now, marine money. They move the event to different countries, but it is being held in Hong Kong as well. So when it is being held in Hong Kong, I think we can definitely see how we can enhance these events being done here. So when people look to which country should they attend, they'll always choose, okay, Hong Kong is always the best event rather than going to London or anything else, because they move it and they hold it every year in different locations. Yeah.
Yeah, I must say, I think the Hong Kong Shipping Week have really developed well. I think with super support also from government, but from the industry. This is really a big event, also globally. Yeah? So it's, we can't attend all conferences around the world. I think it's about having an event that really is attractive. And I think actually Hong Kong Shipping Week also, and every year, the years I've been here, it's been better and better and better. So I think that's really something to build on. And it does actually promote Hong Kong quite well, I must say.
Okay. Right. Michael, you have anything to share? Anything? All right, okay. But I wish to bring up an idea to all of you and say if you agree with that. If we are more proactive in joining other global international shipping institutions or proactively joining this or more global conference, can we actually make good use of the Maritime Port Board? Because right now we have already elevated that to another status, actually. So I suppose that there will be more support from the government and more manpower. And how could we actually make good use of this Maritime Port Board? Because, I think I recall that I talked to Sandy before. The Secretary for Transport is also the chair of this Maritime Port Board, but he can't attend all the conference, right, throughout the year, right? He has to stay here and work on the local matters. Of course, he will go out, but then, if we can have more representatives on behalf of the Hong Kong government, or we make good use of this Maritime Port Board, then you have stakeholders like you. Can they actually go out and join this conference on behalf of the government, or they are assigned a duty to do that? Then the more they go out, the better that they can actually communicate with the rest of the world to promote Hong Kong. Because sometimes we talk about communications, right? We need to communicate with each other. We can't say like, well, this year I'm going to see you this year, and then maybe I'm not going to see you until like another year or 2 years. We're going to see each other more often. So the idea that I try to bring up, and let's say if anybody can actually share your 2 cents, is can we actually make good use of the Maritime Port Board? Because of the elevation already, we have more support from the government, and how we gonna do that? Sandy, maybe you are the expert. Michael, Sandy?
Yes. Holden, I very much agree that good jobs should not only be done, but seen to be done. So it's really important for us to make sure that we are visible. Hong Kong is visible. The Hong Kong shipping community is visible. So it's very good for you to raise this idea that the new Hong Kong Maritime and Ports Development Board could do something more for the industry in this respect. And indeed, if I remember correctly, one of the main objectives of the new board would be on not only on research but also on promotional work. So this is definitely the right direction, the right step in the right direction. Yes. And I can assure you that many shipping people that I know in Hong Kong, they are always willing to join these promotional efforts. Yes. They are always willing to join the government promotional efforts to share their experience, and also to share their advice with their peers overseas as to why Hong Kong why Hong Kong is good. Yes, thank you. Yeah,
Michael, please.
Just an observation. One of the things, having been to a lot of marine moneys in New York, in Hamburg, here, there are quite a lot of them, and trade winds events and other sort of maritime events. The Marshall Islands and the Liberian Registry are very proactive at these events.
They are very proactive.
Very proactive. They hold dinners. They sponsor.
We don't hold dinners?
They sponsor things. They have a team that move around these events and get to know the main players personally, on a personal level. So I would see the Maritime Port Authority, the Port Board, and the registry acting in concert to not only have representation in the main shipping centres where they can interact with the local community on a continuous basis, 24-hour-a-day basis, but be seen, be visible, be out there. I was just thinking, how did Singapore attract business? They went and found it. They went out and got it. They interacted. They did it on a personal level. If you went to Singapore and said, I'm interested in setting up a business, it would be, how can I help you? Or we can find. So so it is actually to be engaging and proactive in the place you go to your customers. You get out to your customers. You don't wait for them to come to you. That would just be a thought.
Thank you. Any things that Martin or Gautam wish to share on this note?
Yeah, I would just say that it would need to be partnership, collaboration. It's one thing for government to go out by itself, but when it goes in with established Hong Kong shipping players and they speak together, then I think it can be quite convincing as a story as to why Hong Kong. Because if you hear it with more, let's call it an unbiased view, then the people operating in Hong Kong who are in there can talk about it. So I like the collaborative approach. So please come with me on my next business travel to.
We must hold dinner. Thank you. Martin, do you have anything to say? No. Okay. Well, I think that's this is gonna be important, and I like the key word today, proactive, because we need to be more proactive. We can't be passive, and we can't afford to be passive anyway, because it's a paradigm shift. In the past, people would talk about, attracting business because, we've always believed that Hong Kong is very well, we do well, so we don't need to promote that much about ourselves to the rest of the world. But I think it's time for us to have a kind of a paradigm shift. I think we have to change our attitude because we have to be more proactive. Because if you're not being proactive, other cities are being very proactive. I don't need to name them. Right, okay. So I think it's time for me to open to the floor. And I'm not sure that any audience, yes, Mr. Chiang has already got a question for us. And can somebody pass him the microphone? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. I'm a proud member of Young DAB, the youth arm, who Holden was the previous chairman. I've got quite a lengthy questions. I myself are in aircraft financing. We see a huge opportunity in shipping, but of course the good old days of shipping financing is not as easy as it used to be, especially with high interest rate and the global geopolitical situation right now. So I've got a couple of questions. So how can Hong Kong enhance the ship registry competitiveness with streamlined processes with digitalization? So you see recently TLB, you don't need to have the road tax plate to line up. You can do it digitally on the website. Yeah. What incentive would attract you guys to continue to stay in Hong Kong, but also other international ship owners to register in Hong Kong? Second, in terms of piracy protection, it is a huge problem for the industry. How can Hong Kong collaborate with the Chinese Navy to ensure better protection for Hong Kong flag ship from piracy and other additional security measure that is needed for Hong Kong flag-bearing ship. And very exciting times with the net zero in 2050. IMO has a very clear strategy, but then it got to make sense, right? For ship owners, we need to make money. We're not here, it's a business, it's not a charity. So there are a couple of tariff and talk about charges for carbon. But what I see is it's a huge opportunity for Hong Kong to set up a global shipping carbon trading platform so that ship owners in this region can set the narrative and lead the narrative in the region and capitalize on green shipping and using digitalization and decarbonizing for the industry. I'm very pleased to see, Martin, you have a cadet program, but what strategy can Hong Kong address the local talent gap in the maritime role? So you can see a lot of Filipino crew from the region, but then how can we train more Hong Kong captains? So for example, a streamlined roadmap from a local pilot to a ship captain. We need, Sandy talked about representative, the 3 Ps. We not only need representation internationally, but we also need youth representation so that we can develop next generation of ship entrepreneurs, but also management. And then 2 more questions, sorry, a lot of questions, because it is a very interesting topic. How can Hong Kong also drive digital transformation? So for example, the government, the finance department talked about, blockchain and digitalization. So are you guys, as ship owner, looking to raise fund using DeFi? Or have you looked into it, or are you going to look at it? Because ship, as you said, is like aircraft. They're worth hundreds of millions of US dollars, and they're very expensive. And of course, with interest rate coming down, but it's still very expensive to finance compared to a couple of years ago. And finally, my last question, and also the most important question I have. As a ship owner and leader in the maritime industry, how do you prepare for the impact of trade war, tariff, and geopolitical situation? Those arise from President Trump narrative and his rhetoric. What measure can Hong Kong government implement to support the sector during or the upcoming challenge that we have? Thank you.
Thank you. Your last question is a 100 million question. Well, okay. All are very important questions. I think we'll deal with one by one. But I think feel free to share your thoughts on answering any of the questions. Who would like to take the lead? Maybe Sandy? Well, yeah, please. Please.
Thank you. Of course, many questions. So perhaps on behalf of the Hong Kong Ship Owners Association, I would like to address at least one of these questions. That is the issue about piracy, about the safety of ships, because I'm really obliged to thank our country. Because right now, I said our ships go everywhere, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So they may encounter problems somewhere in the world from time to time. And that's why I also receive emergency calls from time to time. So whenever I receive emergency calls, so of course, we would, on behalf of our members, on behalf of the shipping companies, we would we would seek help from the Hong Kong Marine Department, from the Hong Kong Ship Registries, and we might also need to seek help from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And I must say that they are all very, very helpful. So I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful for this, and I'm sure our members are also very grateful on this. Yes.
Right.
So
okay.
may I lift the other?
No, okay. Yeah, please. Martin, yeah. You can do it.
I'll do that. I'll just add to Sandy saying that. So we have all our ships under Hong Kong flag basically, and of course we also have Filipino crews but also Hong Kong and Chinese and so on. I think the important thing to say, we never feel alone. And I think there's other places you could have your flag where you might feel a little bit alone. We don't feel alone when there's an issue around the world. We do actually get help both in Hong Kong but also in China, which is a good thing. I really appreciate it. I don't think the China Navy sort of can help us because we are all over the world in that sense. But it's really important that when we have an issue somewhere, fairly or unfairly, that we get the help, and we do actually get that. I would love to talk about them all because I think really good questions in it. If I just maybe, if you allow me to do two of them, I think the IMO part with the green transition and so on, and our company have bought 4 new ships or ordered 4 new ships with our low emission ships, so sailing on methanol. And I think we have a competitive edge in the sense that we sit here in Hong Kong and we can see what's happening in China. Town Gas and many other companies around us helps us in that sense. So the cluster here, the availability of or the knowledge about what's happening in China, not me personally, but others, is actually helping us in that sense. And I think we are very well positioned in Hong Kong to actually drive that green transition. Let's see how it goes and what the rules will be and so on. But it's not because there's a lack of green fuels. It's more a question about, and you also, the government also have it on the agenda, how do we get it out to the ports and how do we do that thing? And I think there could be a vision a little bit in Hong Kong about being a green place in respect to the fuels, but also in respect to the ships. In it, be a little bit different than the others. You mentioned the crew, and of course we have 5,000 crew members. It's not, we do have quite a bit of crew from Hong Kong. Historically, we've also had that. Probably easier to get crew in the Philippines and also in China. But we also like to keep having people from Hong Kong. And also here we have, they're very well educated actually in Hong Kong, and they're good seafarers. And we also have a lot of female seafarers from Hong Kong in that sense. For us, it's also an investment in the future. We know if you go to our office, we have more than 250 people. They're not young people, all of them, and we have to replace them somehow over time. So it's also a talent pipeline to get people who actually know, and you said it yourself, the future entrepreneurs. A lot of the people also around me here whose family have done well in shipping started at sea. So of course there's a lot in that as well. So I think that's a super question in that. But I would also say the Marine Department in Hong Kong is actually doing a good job as well to support all these things, and they're aware of those things.
Okay. Yeah, I got the hard one, the digitalization and the tokenization, I think you said, of shipping assets. So I was one of the judges last year at the Maritime Week at Captain's Table, and there was an idea of digitalizing ships and tokenization. And thankfully this one didn't win the competition, because I actually wasn't in favor of it, because for 2 reasons. Is that, look, you talked about aviation and maritime. These industries are highly regulated. And the other thing is both have safety of life, and in shipping there's something called safety of life at sea. So the thing is, the moment you start digitalizing and tokenizing the asset, then you are to some degree diluting the ownership responsibility of who's behind it, because it starts getting vague between having many different kinds of owners. So the thing is, yeah, maybe with assets such as buildings, it could be easier, but with industries like this that are capital intensive and human intensive, I would play on the safety side and say, keep these industries sort of slow and steady, very bricks and mortars. So, thank you. I hope I got that one.
I think this. Yeah. I like your very frank sharing, because but it's a good point to make, because of safety. The tokenization, of course, is getting more popular right now. We talk about like tokenized asset. But because of safety, you rather have one or particular owner to own the entire things, rather than having 200 owners owning the particular vessels. Then you don't know who is actually in charge and dealing with the safety and responsibility. But that's a good point to make. I understand that Chung has actually raised a lot of very good questions, But given that we have limited time, I believe that we might not be able to answer all your questions. But before we finish, I suggest I will allow a couple more questions. Maybe I know, Jason, do you have?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
please,
please.
Jason. Yeah,
Yes,
please.
thank you, Holden.
Yeah.
I have a very simple question to ask. It's actually that we know that 24 hours round-the-clock service to the shipping companies offered by the shipping registry is surely very important. But we also know that the Marshall Islands has a leading position in this connection. But how could you rate our Hong Kong service so far? And we also noticed that in China, in mainland China, the port is semi-AI, and it's really digital, and it's really, they're really proud of their current situation. How far behind we are actually right now? Thank you very much.
That's an important question too, because you recall that at the outset, I share with you why we do well in maritime services. We rank number 4 globally because we provide timely services. But then we are moving on towards an AI society. We're moving towards digitalization. So how our shipping registry can actually improve and to do, well, maybe even better than Marshall Islands in the future, isn't it? They're providing round-the-clock services. I'm sure that we can also do that. The overseas desk offered by the government is a good way to handle this sort of matters, but I'm sure that there are some ways to do even better. So I leave it to anybody want to provide an answer or any 2 cents? Your 2 cents, please. Your 2 cents, thank you.
So I think I think it would be really important, of course, if also the Marine Department digitalized and the registration. Of course, we will all like that part of it. When it comes down to it, I think what we need for the Marine Department's job is, of course, to make sure that we comply and the safety and security of things, and that we live up to the standard that is set internationally in it. So I think for us, and with all the ships that we have here, is to have a good dialogue with the Marine Department, and that there are qualified people there who understands what they're talking about. And I think that Hong Kong does have. Some people will sometimes say to me, it's a little bit annoying because actually they know. So, they're not easy in the sense because they have their job and we have ours, but so of course there's always a little bit of a discussion about things, but you can't say that the Marine Department is not qualified people. They do know. They've been sailing and they know. So in that sense, I think there'll always be a little bit of conflict, of course, supposed to, but they're doing a good job. And I think at least the last year I've been here, the dialogue is improving all the time. And they also have a wish to make sure that people, and we flag more ships into Hong Kong. So they are also working on that and trying to do that. Of course, digitalization and cost and all that is always an ongoing discussion. I can say from Pacific Basin point of view, I wouldn't say, we would always like to optimize and do things easier. But Hong Kong is a good place to run a shipping company globally. It's not a bad place at all in all these things. There's pluses and minuses, but all in all, it's a really good place to run a shipping company in that part.
Right, good. Sandy, do you want to add on that? Please.
I would like to say that according to my experience, the Marine Department is indeed very efficient. I remember very well that the idea of having the overseas desk office was first raised by us, the Hong Kong Ship Owners Association, in 2017. And then, because at that time, we, of course, we realized that the government resources were very limited. So we suggested to the government then, because we already have the ETO, the Economic and Trade Officers. So now, why not making good use of those ETOs? And the Marine Department did take our advice, and in 2018 or 2019, they started implementing the idea. So I would say that the department is very responsive. So the key, what's the key? The key is that this need very often, as the regulators, if I may use this word, if the regulators would need to give ideas to the regulators, to share your thinking, to share your ideas with the regulators, so that we can improve the mechanism, improve the system together. Yeah, because we are the ones practicing in the industry, right? We are the practitioners. So the practitioners need to let the regulators know what we really need and what we dislike. Yes, yeah. And then this can facilitate the policymakers, including the legislators again, to make the policies, to make the rules and regulations. And that's why communication is important, and that's always two-way communication. And so, once again, thanks Holden for always communicating with the industry.
Thank you. Right. So, right. I think probably we are approaching the end of this roundtable meeting, and I wish to thank everybody, all our important guests. We always cherish your presence in Hong Kong. In particular, I think it's a very important conclusion here. I'm sure that you would agree with me that people sitting here, they have spent many years or even decades in Hong Kong. And I'm sure that we all love the place here. And one of the key takeaways is Hong Kong has an edge of, we have China. We have the backup from China because from global market perspective, Hong Kong is always the gateway for whatever business access to Chinese market. So we have the backup from China. That's a number one edge of Hong Kong. So we have to make good use of that. And other than that, I mean, we talk about the English language. We have talked about how to attract foreign shipping companies here by maybe having fiscal incentive or maybe commodity house to be built here, right? And then we also talk about like double taxation agreement. We haven't actually, we need to find some time to talk about this topic too, because this is going to be a little bit complicated, the double taxation agreement. But it is also something that you guys are looking for. And we're talking about how to be more proactive in engaging international community. I have to make sure that they host dinner. Instead of just snacks and coffee or finger food. Yeah. This is something that we have discussed today, and I hope that everybody will benefit from today's discussion. And for the press, don't worry about that because we're going to have a press release later on. So you can bear with us. And I think last but not least, again, I have to thank you for joining us. Thank all the audience for joining us. And stay tuned because we're going to have another seminar coming up on how to strengthen our shipping and aviation hub status for Hong Kong. So please stay tuned. And Chinese New Year is also approaching. So may I wish you all a prosperous and healthy New Year ahead. Thank you.